goal! Side of goal! Oh, what a goal!
What's the crack? What's the bleeding story? How are you all doing? And all that bollocks. First of all, without further ado, happy Easter to all of you who are celebrating. We've missed you a great deal. I've certainly missed you. I've missed doing this to some extent, but as you know, it's always Del Boy Gunner TV. Hopefully, he will be joining in some time, but for now, he's asked me to kindly take up duties, as it were. And I should apologize, of course, for the delay. I know quite a lot of other people are having their reaction shows right now. I'm going to go start by going through some of the comments. And it was one of those games, really, today. I mean, first of all, as well, I want to say congratulations to our ladies. Beating Chelsea to win any tournament is always satisfying. A League Cup final win. Well done, ladies. A bit of a worry, though, with Leah Williamson having to go off after the first half, but hopefully it's just a precaution, and she should be okay for England duty. Now, we'll go through some of the comments, and I can see we've got some messages right here saying that, this should have been our opportunity to really try and take the game to City and really try and put them to the sword, because they had players missing, and we were drooling, obviously, over the absences of Edison and Kyle Walker, and even John Stones being out, although he was able to take his place on the bench. And of course, when Nathan Aki got substituted after having a halfish chance in the first half, a lot of us were quite happy. And in as much as there were positives to take from the game, most notably the defensive performance, Gabriel and Saliba, first of all, really stood up to a man. I know that in many ways, they could have they've been a bit inconsistent at times, and sometimes their inconsistency has cost us, but today they stood up to be counted. And it wasn't a classic in terms of goals scored. In fact, after the goals that were scored throughout this weekend, a bit of a disappointment really not to have any more goals in. But it was basically a game which neither team wanted to lose. And I am going to put the link in the chat as I go through these comments. And as usual, all of you will be welcome to join in. Darren, of course, saying these Christmas defeats will have cost us. And I completely agree. Last Christmas, we were top of the league. And by the end of the year, we just thrown it away again, my dear. And City were there for the taking today, and we might not get a better chance to put them to bed. And a lot of people are going to say, well, I also said on Twitter that we did keep 2 clean sheets against them. But, and we also, of course, can be quite satisfied at taking 4 points off both City and Liverpool this season. But, that means nothing if we don't really win anything. And, of course, when we lost the League to Leicester City in 2016, we were the only team to do the double over them. And, it still didn't help us at all. And we lost some games at the worst possible time. And we will hopefully have you on. And this is, of course, the link for people who want to join in. And I do have one person in the gaff already, as Del would say. And how did you beat us if we bottled it against Chelsea? Well, it's simple, Henry Ray. You gifted 2 of your goals to us. And that's another thing. I mean, obviously, defensively, we proved that we were no joke, and we were willing to take the game. We not take the game. We were willing to stop City playing their game, obviously, and do whatever we could. But in the midfield, Rodri and De Bruyne showed why they were very big misses when we played at the Emirates. And obviously, again, the fact that we only won 1-0 was pretty much indicative of how we are still some way behind City as a squad. And today, of course, was a good chance to try to make something happen, and we just couldn't. And it was it'll probably go down as a bit of a disappointment. But on another side, it's a good point to win. A good point to win, I should say. And at least we didn't lose, which would have put City further ahead of us. Now it means that City also have to try and pick themselves up and keep winning, and they're also going to have it. They might have a bit of an easier run in, but they've also got to be perfect. Liverpool have got to be perfect. Now Arsenal have got to be perfect. And we won't have an easy run in with tough games to come in. So it will be, of course, very interesting to see how these three teams continue. And don't forget, Aston Villa and Tottenham can still play spoil sport to several of these teams. Just a reminder, thank you very much indeed. And we do have to play Luton on Wednesday. They're going for survival. We're going for the league, so it will be a hard game. And if we take Luton for granted, let me tell you right now, it will be basically at our peril. Once again, this is a reminder. The link is in the chat, and I am going to welcome a few people in. And we've already got some guests coming in right now. And first of all, good evening to all of you. And if there's...
I think we started better, but then during the game they were
if somebody is putting on the TV, please mute it right now.
Yeah, then that's a Liverpool.
But they were always dangerous in set pieces, in counters.
Manny, it's not me. It's the Liverpool fan. It's the Liverpool fan. That one. Yeah, it's not me.
Okay, well, that's good. Well, first of all, thanks a lot for joining in, everyone, and welcome to Del Boy Gunner TV. And hard to almost process this in a way, but Pargav, I will welcome you first. I hope your Easter's been going well so far. I hope you enjoyed watching the game. I want your verdict on this. Would you say that it was a good point one, or was it a missed opportunity, perhaps?
Oh, missed opportunity. We had 2 weeks. We had 2 weeks to prep for this game. Like, what the hell? All right, so let's start with this. We didn't play like champions today, right? That's a fact. It was a boring game. At the end of it, like, if you're gonna be champions, you gotta go for go for the head. Now all this, like, the PR that's gonna be spun, we both know it's a hard-earned point. It's a tough place to play. At the end of the day, though, like, it's one thing to go for it, like Liverpool did in the past, like Liverpool, Man City in the past. Like, if you look at those games, Liverpool went after them too, and getting a draw. But what we did today was we played for the draw. Usually when that happens, complacency sets in. We have big games coming up. We got to play Bayern Munich. I looked at Bayern yesterday. They lost yesterday, but they played a better game than we did today. In a big game, so that's damning. If we think we're gonna go to Bayern Munich and absolutely, if we're gonna, like, handle Bayern Munich, I mean, for me right now, I looked at that game. Gabriel was very lucky not to get yellows in the first half. Bukayo Saka went missing. The world class thing, I mean, he still has time to go, in my opinion. I've always said it. It's Wendell shut him down. Now we have Guardiola doing the same today. What else? Yeah, I mean, Odegaard, same thing with Odegaard. I'll leave that one alone for now. But the other ones, that's pretty much my verdict. I think we didn't play like champions, and I would have gone for it. And as far as the title race goes, we can definitely get on it. We gotta get some form back. I think we gotta get the intensity back in the coming weeks.
I actually want to sort of get to Odegaard a bit, and obviously, he wasn't able to get too many passes in, and obviously as the game went on, he started to commit quite a few fouls as well, and there were one or two missed passes. But there were a few moments in the game where he, at least tried to break up a lot of City's pressing play and try and win the ball back. The only problem is he seems to be a little bit so lightweight, and it was certainly a better performance from him today than in clashes gone by, where we used to make fun of him for getting a little bit too intimate, as it were, with Alfie Haaland and not really being able to impose himself on the game. I think Odegaard tried, but maybe for the most part he might have been found wanting. And it sort of underlined the fact, in a way, Pargav, that Rodri and KDB's absences really affected City when they came to the Emirates. And even when they had more of their players absent, their replacement stepped up, and Rico Lewis as well came on as a substitute. I was thinking that maybe, he'd be a weak link, but he was running through the midfield. And how worrying is that for you now? Because you see Bayern Munich in the Champions League, how they disposed of, I forget who that team was, Napoli. Yes, Napoli. I mean, we'll be up against it at both the Allianz and the Emirates. What do you say?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not even. I shouldn't be overlooking Luton, but Luton, when they played Tottenham, they gave them a run for their money for about for a good deal of that game. Um, but in the end, like I think Tottenham definitely deserved to win it. Like on the balance of it, but with Odegaard, here's the thing: Porto did the same thing. They shut the wings off. They put it to Martin Odegaard to like make a play. He doesn't. He had his moments in that game, at the very end. But over 2 legs, I don't think that was a great performance. But because of the assist, like people are gonna say that he had a good performance on it. But that's always been the case though. Like the blueprint against Arsenal is to shut down the wings, and then it becomes like we completely lose our edge. Now, a big point of this is like Gabriel Jesus hasn't been the same, hasn't been as effective, and I think that is our up top. So it's a bit of a worrying point, but we'll see. I mean, kind of just have to support him at this point. I mean.
Yeah, well, certainly Jesus wanted to grab the headlines against his former club at his old stomping ground. Just couldn't do it today. And if there's one player more disappointing than Odegaard, it definitely was him. But maybe some positivity now, Mr. Sinclair. I'm sure that you would at least be a little bit happy with the point. But would you also feel a bit disappointed that we didn't win? Because a lot of expectation was that we would actually win today.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Arsenal fans said they'd take the point. I know, good friend of mine on Instagram, Cameron Kirtley, was happy with the point. I was one of those Arsenal fans who was confident before the game. I predicted a 3-2 Arsenal win. I think Connor Azal at CMO Sports, he predicted a 3-1 win. So I know a few fans who are either predicted loss, win or draw. I was more confident out of the lot. I'm always confident whoever we play. Really, I could be confident against flipping Barcelona or any team like that, and I could still be confident. But I mean, I guess I'll take a point. Another clean sheet for David Rare. 10 clean sheets this season now, most out of any keeper in the league. So hopefully setting his sights on the Golden Glove maybe this season. Yeah, obviously another clean sheet for Gabriel and Saliba. They're proving that they're one of the best centre-back duos in the league. I thought Jesus shouldn't really have started. I think he obviously got the yellow card. He didn't play well. He missed a few chances and probably should have. I think maybe he should have tried with Trossard because Trossard came on, played quite well when he came on. He had that chance there. He was free and he missed it. And he was quite good when he came on. I wouldn't have played Jorginho. I don't think he had a good game. A lot of people talking about Martin Odegaard. He had a decent game. Obviously, it's against City. Can't really expect him to do well against City. If this was a smaller team, you'd be saying, he's world class. He did well with blah blah blah. But because it's Man City, you can't base him on a game against Man City. Say that he's bad or garbage in the chat. He isn't terrible. It's just he was playing Man City and they made him look terrible because of how good they were. I think Haaland was quiet. He's usually quiet against Arsenal. But I think we should have taken our chances. It was best chance to beat City. They had Ortega in goal, their second choice keeper, who isn't the best keeper. Derek Ware's way better. They had Stones out, who's on the bench. They had Walker out, their best right back. It was, our best chance and opportunities to beat them, and we stalemate 0-0. I guess I'd take the point. I said I didn't take a point, but we go to Luton now. Hopefully, get the 3 points there and see if Liverpool slip up. But I don't think they will against Sheffield United. So I think they have a bigger chance of slipping up against Man United. Hopefully, Man United get something out of that game. But we've got a big game against Luton, then against Brighton away. So ideally, we need to be winning all our remaining games now and hoping Liverpool drop some points. Maybe hope City drop some points and stuff like that. But at least we didn't lose. That's the main positive out of the game today. We didn't lose the game. We haven't won there since 2015. And we almost broke that record. But 0-0 isn't bad. And who's man of the match for me is Saliba, I think. Yeah, I'll go with Saliba. I think Sky Sports gave it to Saliba. And he got the man of the match. So I'll give it to Saliba. He kept the clean sheet. You could argue maybe David Rare, he got a save and he kept the clean sheet, or maybe even Gabriel. But I don't think anyone, like any of the attacking players and midfielders, deserve to get the man of the match. And I don't think any of the City players deserve to as well. But I'll probably say Saliba. A lot of people agree with me. But yeah, that's what I've got to say. I'll let other people talk. And I've talked a bit for a while, but I guess I'll kind of be happy with the draw, yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And obviously, there were some concerns for me about Ray and the fact that a few of his clearances ended up going straight to City players, and he had one or two slips as well. But there are some areas of concern, and we are going to obviously have to try and address them as the game goes on. And I will take a few comments from the chat before I go further. The tactics, of course, are wrong to win the game, but a point does keep Arteta in charge. And the trophy cabinet, obviously, telling a different story. And a little bit surprising how Arsenal fans are only too happy to criticise Didier Deschamps for not really giving Saliba much of a chance with the France national team. They overlooked the fact that Saliba was frozen out by Arteta for about 2 years. And a point here made by Unique79. Thanks for being in the chat. We do have a tight schedule for the next month, and rotation will be important now that we've got players back from injury. And I'm going to talk about them later on once Pargab comes back. But the one person who will be quite happy today is Henry Ray Baker, whose Liverpool end this week at the top of the league. And I did actually catch the Liverpool-Brighton game, at least several parts of it. In fact, almost all of it, really. And it was a case of Brighton, starting really well. Former gunner Danny Welbeck, of course, putting us in dreamland, only for you lot to fight back through Luis Diaz and, of course, Mohamed Salah. And first of all, happy Easter to you as well. And I'm sure you must have watched both of the games. The big thing about Liverpool, though, I remember watching a podcast by Northside LDN, where one of the Liverpool fans there said that the worst part about Liverpool not beating Manchester City was that now they've got to be perfect, because Liverpool and Arsenal don't have easy run-ins, while Manchester City do for the most part. So this result should make you very happy indeed. And I'd like to ask you, Henry, if I may, what were your verdicts on both the games today? And where do you see this race going, and how happy are you with the way Liverpool have played so far? You're mute, Henry. Henry, you're mute. Henry, we can't hear you, sir. We can't hear you. Unmute yourself.
The defensive was poor. We were lucky not to be beaten today. In fact, Mo Salah missed so many chances and probably should have had a hat-trick plus. So the fact that Luis Diaz scored was a huge relief. But we should have had a penalty for Darwin Núñez, who got held in the penalty area but wasn't given because Paul Tierney was the VAR and ruled it out. Although Luis Diaz scored, but it was given offside. The fact that Mo Salah scored was because we needed the 3 points. So that was great. I'm not overly enthusiastic that we won. I'm pleased we got 3 points, yes. I'm glad we're at the top, but I don't think overall that we really deserved it, because Brighton are a good side. They're not doing very well in the table, but they gave us a good game, and Lallana, ex-player, should have scored, but didn't. So we got a let-off. I have said that it's going to be a 3-1, but I'm happy that we got the 3 points. On regards to the City game, Well, all throughout the week, it's been toing and froing with the injuries for both sides. So didn't know who was actually going to be able to be fit for the game. And so I was actually going for a draw, a 2-2 draw, on the basis that Erling Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne, etc. would be starting, and Saka and Martinelli would start. But I think it was even Stevens throughout the game cancelling each other out because there was so much at stake to get the 3 points to go atop the table, because the title race is so tight between all three of us. It's probably one of the best title races, although some fans think it was 89 when you beat us through Michael scoring the winner at Anfield, who had played for Liverpool. So, all in all, I think a point is better than nothing. So I think both sides need to think like that it's better to get a point than nothing at all. But there's a long way to go still for the title. And it will go down to the wire, I think, because they're so close together. And I also apologise for not shutting off my TV, because that's what you could hear. So, that's how I think both games went. And on to the next game, because we have a game on Thursday. So, and of course we've got players coming back from injury. So, and you've got Newton. So, good luck with that game. That's my view of both games.
Well, thank you very much indeed. And I appreciate your honesty about Liverpool's performance today. And I think we can all agree that you still are now in the driver's seat after the results have taken place today. And of course, I do share your opinion that this title race is a really, really good one, with one of three teams very much being able to win. And of course, we've got now Mr. B in the house, another of our regulars. Yeah, so you...
Happy Easter, by the way. Happy Easter, everyone.
Wish you the same. Wish you the same. Thank you very much indeed. Now, you obviously saw it fit to go out in the evening, and you missed an absolute cracker to G-Tech, where, you literally put United to the sword.
You still couldn't beat them, though.
Yeah, you still couldn't beat them, and it's a sign of how high standards you have, that instead of being happy with a point, which would have been an injustice if you didn't get it, you think it's an even bigger injustice that you didn't get the 3 points. And there were chances missed. There were, shots against the post, and you did everything but score until virtually the last kick of the game to rescue this particular game. To rescue your particular game. I don't know if you got the opportunity to see either of the two games today, but if you did, I'd like to know what your opinion is. And do you think we mucked up our opportunity at the Etihad today?
Oh, yeah, I did watch them both, Manny, yeah. Yeah, and as the upper tier just said on there in the comments there, how on earth did you not batter United? Exactly. How did we not batter United? we should have walloped them, really walloped them and hit the post twice or crossbar, whatever. We're the best performance we've had for ages, and we still can't win though, which is not great. But to get a point still, and the other teams below us are losing and drawing, that still helps. We still got a good result at the end of the day. But on to these matches today. I thought the Liverpool game was brilliant. I thought it was a fantastic game. So many chances either way. Liverpool could have had loads. They had loads of chances, missed loads of chances. Salah, Diaz and all that, missing chances. There could have been loads of goals there. I think Brighton played well. I thought they deserved something out of that game. Welbeck scored a great goal there. Fantastic. Ex-Arsenal, of course. Danny Welbeck. But that was a great goal. But yeah, Liverpool won, and that's what matters. They're still top, of course, now, aren't they? So, but yeah, I thought the City game wasn't as great. I didn't think much of the game, to be honest. But I think you got a point, and that's something good for you lot, because you could have easily gone there and lost, which you have done in the past. So I think probably a point is good enough for you lot, and it keeps you in the challenge, in the title run. So I think that's good for you lot in a way. I don't think you were fantastic. I don't think City were that great either. So point was about right there, and hopefully you might have a good chance now. Who's your next one's Brighton and that? Is it Brighton, Luton, or whatever?
Luton at home,
Luton,
and
yeah.
then Brighton away.
We've got Luton, and actually, Mr. B, you've got
We
Brighton,
got Brighton,
so,
yeah, Wednesday,
so
yeah.
you probably would have watched the Liverpool Brighton game and taken a look at any potential weaknesses that Brighton may have. I think Darren had mentioned in the chat that they're a pretty good side down the wings, in midfield and up front. Dunk, of course, was a little bit luckless, really, with England. It was he who was a pretty poor header, allowed Brazil to come in and score that winner against us.
I still think he's a decent defender, though. I do rate him as a defender, Dunk, but I think they're up and down this season, though, Brighton. I really do, and they went out of Europe, of course, badly out of Europe. So, they're up and down. I still think they're a good team. I think they're unlucky today against Liverpool. But I think they're good. I think we're going to have a tough game there. I'd love us to get through. If we can put in this performance yet again.
Is it away?
Brighton, no, it's at GTEC.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if we can put in this performance we done today, I think we can beat them lot. I really do. And Villa, we've got Villa after that. If we can do the same, as much as I love Villa, a good team, if we can put in a good performance against them and beat them, that'd be amazing, And go on a run now, get 3 points, you've got Sheffield United. It's actually not a bad run of games we got now,
Yeah, and that's the thing, Mr. B. You actually don't have to face any of the top teams until the end of the season, so you should be able to do enough to make sure that you stay up. And I think Peter Schmeichel said it on commentary at the end of the game. There is absolutely no way that Brentford should be in a relegation scrap. I firmly believe that you will, have enough to be fine. But now focus comes back to Arsenal, and Pargav, I'm actually going to get you in here. I've just started this comment from Unique79. We might possibly have the harder run-in of games, and maybe this could be a blessing in disguise, as it could push us to try harder to win the league. And maybe there's a little bit of sense into this. I'm not too sure, because, we have to make sure that we are perfect from here on in. And now we have to make sure that we do not lose our concentration or our, or our sense of purpose more than anything else. Today, of course, probably will be a bit of a mixed opportunity, and I will share the run-in very briefly right now. Let me just get this thing going right now. This is why you have the StreamYard facilities. I hope you can all forgive me. My computer is a little bit wonky as always, but you should be able to see the run-in right now. Obviously, with this game gone by, we already beat Porto, of course, in the Champions League. We will be coming up against Luton Town on Wednesday and Brighton on Saturday. Both of these games are must wins, obviously. They're sort of title 6-pointers for us in a way, albeit we're not playing either Liverpool or City anymore. But we've got 9th of April, Bayern Munich. 14th of April on the Sunday, Aston Villa, Unai Emery and Emi Martinez and company coming back to their former stomping grounds. And of course, with Matthew Cash unavailable, Callum Chambers comes back as cover for Ezri Konsa, who capped a beautiful week with Yep. And then, of course, the return leg against Bayern Munich on the 17th. A tricky away game at Molineux against Gary O'Neill's Wolves. A home tie against a Chelsea team who, yes, blow hot and cold, but still can give us a tough game whenever they can. Yes, they drew against a Burnley team that almost looked doomed to relegation as well, but are still showing some fight. But even with Chelsea and Mudrak on form, you can never really bet against them. And they will be motivated against us, as will Tottenham in the North London derby. A somewhat easier game against Bournemouth, which is the 4th of May. And I think this is where it sort of ends here. But we will have to play some other tougher games as well in the run-in, including against Manchester United at Old Trafford. And Pargav, I will come to you. This comment is interesting from Unique79. Could a hard run potentially with the games coming in be a blessing in disguise for us? And does this question make any sense to you?
No, I get what he means, but the answer for me is no, because okay, City and Liverpool for how many years now have played Champions League and have gotten deep into the Champions League and have dealt with this in April and like May. We have not. This is unfounded territory for us. Like last year, like we got knocked out of all competitions before chasing the league last year. Right?
Yeah.
So basically, like, I mean, with City, they've had deep runs in Champions League, and then they still balanced winning the league. With Liverpool, it's been the same thing. They've balanced those two things, so it's better for them in that sense. For us, this is unfounded territory, so squad rotation is massive at this stage. So it really does depend on that. Can our squad handle it? You saw those fixtures when it said Chelsea and Tottenham, right? I think that's in 1 week. Those are hard games. Like there's zero recovery in between. So in that sense, I don't think we can. I don't think it's a huge challenge for us. It's gonna depend on like management. Just a part of the season that comes down to management.
Okay, and Ollie, before I come to you, I will actually come to Henry with this question because I am taking a look at Liverpool's running right now, and obviously, you know, You passed a brilliant test against Manchester United in the FA Cup, and in midweek you will be playing against a Sheffield United team that looks set to go down. But then you've got United at Old Trafford yourselves. Your Europa League against Atlanta, followed by Crystal Palace in between, and then Fulham and Everton and West Ham. And then you play Spurs on the 4th of May. So you also are in a situation where you have to be perfect yourselves. Your running isn't exactly very easy. So before you go, do you think that if you have a somewhat harder run and having to play the likes of Tottenham and other teams, including Aston Villa as well, who could prove to be kingmakers for you or not, could that be a blessing in disguise for you, or would you prefer an easier run-in perhaps?
I don't think it's a very easy run-in at all. I think it's going to be difficult because, yes, we got beaten by Manchester United. That was a horrible game for us to lose because it's our rivals. No game is easy, but we take one game at a time and we do the best we can with the players we have and hope for the best. So if we still in the top 4, then great, but it's not about being perfect. It's about giving 100% game in, game out. Because we've been very sloppy today and other games. So, yes, I just hope that we can do the best we can. That's reality. Give your all to each and every game. You do not get sloppy and pathetic with your passes and let the opposition get in. So, anything happens within 90 minutes.
Very good. Thank you very much
for
indeed.
allowing me on the stream. And my YouTube channel is Henry Ray Baker, so if you haven't subscribed, please do. I have 7 at the moment because I lost my previous channel, unfortunately. So if you were one of the 288 subscribers, please subscribe back. And hopefully I'll be back again soon. So, bye for now, everyone.
Thank you very much indeed, Henry. Good to have you in the stream as always, and we will hopefully see you again soon. Take care of yourself and have a good rest of your Sunday.
Bye.
Now, Ollie, I have of course started this question for a reason. I will come to you. The reason why I asked this, of course, is because although City will be quite angry at not being able to win today, and we actually have greater cause for satisfaction given that we've actually broken the huge hoodoo of having always lost to City at the Etihad whenever they've had Guardiola as manager. That's 7 defeats and 21 goals conceded as opposed to 4 goals scored. We broke that hoodoo today and we kept a clean sheet. But City do, for what it's worth, have a bit of an easier run-in, although they will have to face Aston Villa as well in the title run-in. And ours is not going to be easy. In fact, if we take a look at City's run-in, specifically after they play Aston Villa midweek, they do have the Champions League clash against Real Madrid, which will not be easy by any means. But in between, they play Luton, they play Chelsea in the semi-finals of the FA Cup, and then over to the Amex Stadium to play against Brighton, Nottingham Forest, and then a home game against Wolves, and they will be looking for revenge. So I just wonder if you personally think that maybe it could be a blessing in disguise for us if we have a harder run-in, because we will be pushed to win the league. Ideally, as Bhargav sort of insinuated, though, champion teams don't care about how difficult the run-in is. They try to make themselves win every single game. But do you think it will be a blessing in disguise for us, or would you have rather had an easier run-in?
Obviously, I prefer to have an easier run-in, but I'll just go through what we've got. So we've got Luton at home next, which I think should be a easy 3 points at home to Luton. We beat them away, so should be beating them at home. Brighton away is going to be a tough game. I would take a point in that game, but I think we should get 3 points in that. Bayern at home in the Champions League after that on the 9th of April, which we should hopefully be winning, giving us confidence to the away leg. Then we've got Aston Villa at home, which should be a 3 points, although we did lose to them away. Bayern Munich away then we've got Wolves away, which should be 3 points. Chelsea at home, which should be 3 points because we drew to them away, but we should beat them at home. Tottenham away is going to be one of our toughest games coming up. We don't have the best record of their stadium, although we did beat them last season at their stadium. I'm hoping to at least get a point out of that one. Bournemouth at home, we should beat them. Man United away, another tough game. Everton at home is our last game of the season, which has been our last game of the season before. So realistically, I think we should get at least 3, 6, about 15 points. We'll probably drop about 9 points, but we've got about 3 or 4 easy, hard games, and 1, 2, 3, 4, about 6 easy games. So I don't know if we have the harder running. I've looked at the other teams. Liverpool, they have quite an easy run. Their only tough games are really Everton away, Tottenham at home, Aston Villa away. And then you look at Man City, they've got probably the easiest run. They've got Crystal Palace, Aston Villa, Luton, Brighton, Forest, Wolves, Fulham, and West Ham. So they don't really have to face any top 6 teams. But the thing with Man City is they're in the Champions League and the FA Cup. So they're in 3 competitions, whereas Arsenal are only in 2, and Liverpool are in 2 as well. So I think Man City probably have a hard run as well. I think all teams have a hard run, but Arsenal probably have the hardest because we've got to play three of the big Big Six teams. Whereas Man City don't have any, and Liverpool only have to play Man United and Tottenham. But I'm pretty confident we can go win the league. I think we need to win all our remaining games. We can afford to drop points maybe against Tottenham and Man United away, but I expect us to win all our remaining games and hopefully try and do our best in the Champions League, maybe get through Bayern and see who we get in the next round. But yeah, it's going to be tough. It's very interesting title race, probably one of the best we've had in a while. It's only 3 points separating the teams. Man City on 64 points, Arsenal 65, and Liverpool 67. So if we were to win our next match and Liverpool were to lose, we'd overtake them. But I'm hoping Man United get something out of Liverpool when they play them at home, and maybe even Sheffield United. But yeah, I think we have a hard running, but I think it's kind of in our favour. I think we're the favourites to win. Hopefully, it might be Liverpool, it might be Man City, but I do back us to win the league, and hopefully we can win the league.
Well, I mean, that is the hope, but then, it's
Yeah.
not for nothing that the legendary Irish poet would say that the main aim is for hope and history to rhyme, and it seldom does, sadly. And of course, that is, of course, the big worry that we've got. And once again, we're in a situation where we have to depend on Liverpool dropping points. As Henry was saying before he left, it's not going to be guaranteed that Liverpool will be perfect because they were quite sloppy today against Brighton. And as has mentioned earlier, Mr. B will have been taking notes about Brighton's performance and will be looking to try and do whatever not he personally, but certainly Thomas Frank will be looking to do whatever he could to try to nullify Brighton. But now, of course, we've got a neutral in the chat, and of course it is Mr. B. And when we talk about the run-ins, obviously we've been speaking about Liverpool's run-in and City's run-in, and now Arsenal's run-in. And obviously, you might have taken a bit of a look at them and sort of seen how, sort of given your view on how the teams would effectively do. But based on the run-ins, which team do you think, as a neutral, has the better chance of winning the league?
Did you bring the list up again, Manny? Because I didn't. I was in the toilet, mate. I just left the message on there.
Yeah,
I just went to the toilet.
Yeah.
So.
I saw the message. I'll bring up Arsenal.
Sorry, mate. Cheers,
all
mate.
Good. All good. Don't worry about it. All good. All good. Now, obviously, I mentioned Arsenal. This result. Yeah, they already beat Porto. Luton on Wednesday.
Luton, no pushovers. They're no pushovers, Luton. I know they've had some bad results lately, but I think they're still scoring and they're still looking dangerous. But you probably will win that. I would think you should beat Luton. I'm going to say that one would be 3-1 Arsenal, I say.
Yeah, so listen, we're not exactly doing predictions, okay?
Oh, right, sorry, yeah.
So obviously, we're just taking a look at the run-ins right now, and Luton and Brighton are games that we should win, but these are games where we cannot afford to underestimate the opposition. Then, of course, in between, we've got Bayern Munich in the Champions League. Aston Villa, as I mentioned, Unai Emery coming back. If he comes back and spoils our chances, I think there's going to be a lot of, wailing and chest beating and the whole thing, really. And then, of course, an away trip to Wolves. We have entertained Chelsea at home. We have the North London derby on the 28th of April. We play Bournemouth. Then we go to Manchester United at Old Trafford. And we end the season with a home game against
North London derby there as well. Don't forget the Spurs. So.
I mentioned that 28th of April. So this particular block of 3 games could potentially be games which will test our character. And in seasons gone by, these are the games which we've normally lost because we just weren't able. We let the pressure get to us, or we became a little bit complacent. Now, of course, I will stop sharing because I want to bring up the Liverpool run-in, and apparently Liverpool do have a decent run-in themselves, and in midweek they get to sink their teeth into the wretched Sheffield United, as it were. And then they travel to Old Trafford to play Manchester United, hoping to, banish the demons of that FA Cup disaster, as Henry would say. And then home and away against Atlanta in the Europa League, Crystal Palace at home in between on the 14th of April. Traveling all the way to Fulham, a nice reunion for Harvey Elliott and his ex-team. Merseyside Derby, yes, on the 24th of April. 27th of April sees them play West Ham at the London Stadium. And then they also have to entertain Tottenham at home, which should normally be a win, but then they can't take Tottenham too lightly. And Liverpool don't have to play City or Arsenal again this season, but they will also have to play Aston Villa near the end. So that's going to be a very tough game for them. And Manchester City, of course, have to play Aston Villa in midweek. Crystal Palace, they've got their Champions League tie against Real Madrid, Luton in between. Chelsea at home in the semi-finals of the FA Cup. Then in the Premier League, it's away at Brighton, away at Nottingham Forest, and home to Wolves. And these are games as well which you'd expect City to win, but they're also going to have to be perfect, really. So, again, we talk about the run-ins. So just at a glance, Mr. B, quickly, who do you think has the better chance of winning the league out of the three teams?
Well, looking at that, I think Liverpool got it fairly easy, to be honest. I can't see many tough ones for them there. I think Arsenal got a fairly tough one because, Spurs, Chelsea are not the team they used to be, but they're having a decent run at the moment. Chelsea, they're going okay, and they want to pick up a few results, so that won't be easy. Spurs, that'll be a tough one. I don't think it's that easy for Arsenal, that running. Maybe City and Liverpool got the better ones, I would say. But if Arsenal can keep this going, I think they've got a good chance. Picking up a point today, that was something. Okay, you didn't win, but you got a point at the end of the day. So that's better than nothing. And you've been to City a few times and lost. So that's a good result today. I think you're still going well. And you can keep this run going. And don't forget, you got Champions League in between. So you've got to keep your mind on that as well. So it's not going to be an easy one, but what's going to be more important? I think you might have to decide what's going to be more important, the Premier or the Champions League, in a way. Which do you want to win most?
Bigger fish to fry, huh?
Yeah, I would say the Premiership, mate, to be honest. Because you haven't won it for so many years now, as we know. I would say go for that. Because Champions League is going to be tough. You got Bayern Munich twice. I can't really see you getting through that one, to be honest. Even they're not the team they were, I don't think. But there you go. They're not going to beat you, what was it, 10-2 or whatever it was before, 8-2, whatever it was, that other time before. That ain't going to happen. But you will lose that, I think, somehow. I think you'll win at home, but I think you'll lose the away one. So I think they will just get through, Bayern. So I think I would say push for the Premiership, and you've got slightly difficult ones than I'd say the other two, but who knows? No teams are pushovers in the Premiership now. There's no easy games anymore. So, I'd say I think it's possible if you keep this run going. You keep fighting. I think you got more of a chance than you've ever had to probably win it. So, and last year you bottled it, but I can't see you doing that this year, Samuel, because you got the experience of of that last year, getting through that, and coming out better now. You're having a better season. Your players are another year older, if you see what I mean, another year wiser, sort of thing. And I think you got a great chance, though, of winning the Premiership.
Yeah, but I think you pretty much said it when you said that Liverpool might have the better chance now, especially given that they've got the added motivation of wanting to win for the departing Jurgen Klopp.
Well,
They
yeah.
should have beaten City at the Etihad. They should have beaten United in the FA Cup, and they played a pretty poor game. And Diaz also missed several chances, of course. And there are several Liverpool fans, mind you, who don't have that sense of optimism, who say that now they have to make sure that they do everything perfectly because they cannot afford to drop points. But we're in a position where we can't afford to drop points. And what worries me in a way, Bhargav, and I'll come to you now, is that if we do suffer a pretty heavy defeat against the Bayern Munich team that is now pretty much going all in for the Champions League, given that they have now effectively conceded the Bundesliga title to Bayer Leverkusen, also had an embarrassing exit from the German Cup, the DFB Pokal. If we end up getting beaten by them, it could possibly, hurt the team in some respects. And I really don't want them to get too affected, but I also don't want them to consider the Bayern Munich game to be a free hit. Now, we will talk about that some other time, but you were pretty scathing in your criticism of the team post-match, saying that it was an opportunity missed. But in your opinion, Bhargav, were there some positives to take out of the team's performance today? And what improvements do you think we need to make?
I mean, the positive has always been the same. Actually, it's our defense. It holds against like top teams. I think that's the positive. Compared to years ago, you've seen. You remember years ago we used to get battered at these games for 90 minutes. It used to be 90 minutes of hell, like when you played Liverpool or Man City. So our defense is up. Our defense can hold against the best of Europe. What pisses me off is like the tactics at times is wrong. The fight, like in Europe, you can't. Europe, it's not the same as like the Premier League in some ways. So just high pressing all the time does not work. People play possum a lot more. They'll lob you to death. They'll put you in the right situation and then absolutely take you out. So stuff like that pisses me off. Like going to the Bayern game, for example. Like yesterday, one thing I say is Sancho was on the right and Alphonso Davies was all the way forward. But Sancho was completely ineffective. If Saka plays similarly like that, like he did today, there's no chance that we're beating Bayern Munich. So yeah, there'll be stuff like that, and we talked about Odegaard. What was the other question you asked? What was the other part of the question?
The other part of the question was that if we lose heavily to Bayern, could it affect our psyche as we try and go for the league?
Oh, well, the league, I'll tell you right now, it's 10 games left. I mean, so with that one, it can change. It definitely can change. I've seen Man City chase down Liverpool. I've seen Man City chase down Manchester United in the past. So,
and last season they chased us down mercilessly. We were ahead of them, but they pulled us back and they pulled our trousers and our underpants down.
Yeah, it's usually the only thing I'll say is I think that loss of Riyad Mahrez definitely hurts that team. When you have Doku on the left and it's pretty much like their game plan is like Doku, like, get the ball to Haaland from Doku for the most part, or like De Bruyne plays like a killer ball. But yeah, I mean, when you go through the run-in, I mean, we just got to we have to go for people's heads at this time. If we get a draw, playing our best, like yeah, I'll take it. But if we're gonna sit there and just play for draws, eventually that complacency will infect the entire squad. And that's what we were trying to like get out of. That's what we were trying to get rid of for years. So
absolutely, it's the complacency that hurts us. And I think you can agree with me, Bhargav, that once again we limited City's shots on target. We pretty much choked Haaland of any supply, and he was having an awful time of it up against Gabriel Magalhaes. You said our defense was, really watertight, but Raya did have some concerns with his kicking. And this was one game where people might look at him and say maybe there could be some weaknesses to his game if you're able to put pressure on him. And Ollie, I will come to you now. You've been very quick to highlight the positives in our play today. But what about the negatives? Obviously, our lack of quality in the final third was very concerning. Jesus pretty much failed his audition today and had to be yanked off. And Havertz couldn't do very much. So basically, I think what a lot of people are saying, including Darren in the chat, is that our midfield and attack weren't really as effective as we should have been. And when Trossard had the opportunity to pass it to Gabriel Martinelli in the penalty area, he instead chose to shoot, and it was saved. So where and how can we improve? What did we do wrong against the City defense, and why weren't we able to break it down, given that they were missing two of their starters?
Yeah, I think obviously we were probably most best defensively, and obviously David Raya as well. But I think it was more towards the front line of the pitch. Like the front three wasn't our best. I think we shouldn't have played Jesus. Kai Havertz up front isn't the best. Obviously, Saka's one of our best players, so he deserves to be in there, but he got injured. So I'm hoping he's okay. But I think our front three realistically should have been something like maybe like Trossard, then Havertz and Saka, or something like Martinelli, or even Martinelli. I don't think Jesus should have started. Midfield was a bit weak as well. Jorginho had a poor game. A lot of people in the comments making it clear that Odegaard had a poor game. Declan Rice was all right. He made a few decent tackles and he bossed the midfield a few times and made some decent. He was quite accurate with his passes. But I think it was more the midfield and forwards that let us down. They just weren't clinical enough. We didn't take our chances. We had only 6 shots to Man City's 12, and we only had 2 on target, 2 off target, 2 block shots. We had a couple of corners which we didn't really take to our advantage. We had 1 offside. We conceded a lot of fouls, which was one of our weaknesses. And we had 2 yellow cards. Yeah, I just think it was the attack that let us down. We weren't clinical enough. We didn't take our chances, and yeah, that's what I've got to say. But we just weren't good enough up front, and we should have taken our chances and try and get at least 1 goal. Yeah.
Yeah, so effectively what you and Parga, the now central man, will agree on as far as Arsenal are concerned is that we need a striker. Central, welcome aboard, son. I know that you were on Northside's show earlier, but good for you to come back to where you really belong, as it were.
Yeah.
So, Mr. B, I will come to you in it, but Mr. B, I don't know where he's gone, though. Yes.
I don't know. Maybe he turned his camera off.
Yeah, there he is. There he is. So, Mr. B. So, you basically heard 4 of us Arsenal fans saying that we lacked quality in the final third. We weren't able to get through. And I actually want to talk now about a certain striker who we both know very well, who also kept his promise with a goal for England against Belgium, albeit a penalty. And I hear several people saying, he doesn't have the right attitude. He talks so much about leaving the club. But sometimes the thing we see about certain big players is that sometimes you do have to have the big ego. You have to have the self-belief. And since Tony's come back, Ivan Toney's come back, he's been scoring goals. He's been making things happen. He was literally the one who sliced open that United defense like, a hot knife through a slab of butter, really. And a lot of there are several people who are basically saying that we should try to get him. And there are some, I want to say different-minded people who think that his attitude won't really be the best. And I'm sure Warren, who is in the chat, will probably agree. As he says, at the end of the day, if you want to win football matches, at some point you've got to attack, you got to attack. And neither Havertz nor Jesus have shown that they will be able to unlock the big teams, whereas Brentford has done it. And he was, of course, a part of the Brentford team that did the double over City last season. So I'd like you to take away your Brentford loyalties for 1 minute, just briefly, and imagine that you were an Arsenal fan. Obviously, if you were given a chance to buy Ivan Toney for Arsenal, I'm sure you would. How much money do you think he would cost, and how much? And do you think that we should splash out the money? We've already splashed out 100 million for Declan Rice. Do you think Toney would be worth the money?
Well, on the strength of yesterday's performance, he's definitely worth 100 million. If that's what that's what was talked about before. I think it'd be more like something like 80 or something like that. I can't see it being 100 mil, actually. But he is a great player. I still don't like his attitude. I think it stinks, and I hate what he said about our team. You know, you're playing for this team. You know, don't rubbish us. Don't put us down. You know, we're paying you your wages. You know, you're on big wages here. You're probably one of the only players on really big wages here. You know, you gotta perform, and you gotta shut your mouth and do it on the pitch. You know, and not do stupid things off of it. I mean, if you want to take, you'll have to take all that baggage, all that baggage he's got. Yeah, I'll get him. You should get him. Yeah, like Darren said there, maybe 75. Yeah, that's possible. But he will get goals. He will contribute. I don't think he has been actually as great lately until the England game, and he got a goal there. I think that might have given him a bit more confidence, him scoring for England. And he was fantastic yesterday, and he's got Mbomo back there now with him, you know, to add more. And he hit the post yesterday as well as, was it Tony hit the post, I think, as well?
So, you know, and Tony, both of them hit the post.
Mbomo and Tony, yeah.
First half.
So, you know, they were magnificent yesterday, but, you know, can they carry it on anyway? But, I mean, but that's neither here nor there. You want me to tell you if you're going to get Tony or not, whether you should get him. And I think, well, I think, yeah, probably I would take him, but as long as you give us a good amount of money, he's not going to go cheap. So,
yeah,
you know, and and I think we're already looking to replacements for him anyway. We've already got a striker in, Igor Thiago, and now we're looking still at Jonathan David. What a signing that would be, Jonathan David for Brentford.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
If we could get him. And we're also looking at Sammy Schmodics and Josh Sargent as well. So, you know, we have got plenty of replacements in line for him. So, you know, it's not an issue. So let's put that cash on the table. Let's see it.
Yeah. The only problem is, as Warren has rightly said, Arteta can never sign Tony. Wouldn't be able to handle him. And that actually sort of talks about Arteta as well. And Central, I'm sorry for keeping you in the shadows, but I'm going to come to you because now that you've come in, you can say whatever you like about the game. Would you say that it was an opportunity missed to get a win, or were you happy with the defensive performance?
Ollie,
all right. Enough. Thank you. Now,
sorry.
Yeah, so Central. What were your opinions of the game? Were you happy with the defensive performance? Are you happy with the point, or should it have been 3? Was it an opportunity missed? Are our tactics a big concern? Our lack of offensive quality? Who would you like to see come in to help us, you know, get the goals? Because I do like Tony. I think he's very physical. Yeah. He could perhaps, you know, add that level of muscle that we need. And Darren has said it perfectly. Get rid of Jesus. Get rid of Nketiah. Bring Watkins in from Aston Villa. Bring Tony in from Brentford. 2 former Bs potentially playing for the Gunners, which would make Mr. B very happy. But Central, over to you. Fire away, son. And happy Easter to you, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. I watched the game and it was boring. I was like boring my ass off, man. It's just like, don't feel like we're not score. I don't think we'll feel like scoring today. It's like, I don't know what's going on. I'm on the bandwagon of let's get Tony. But my gut feeling that we're not gonna get Tony this summer, man. I feel like I don't know. But that's another topic for another time. But in this game, I think we had one opportunity. I think Trossard got a little bit greedy. Should have passed it to Martinelli. Defense, we're all right in defense, but I think we just can't score goals. It's just like, I don't know, this Havertz thing. I don't know, man. I'm not gonna gas about Havertz, man. He had good run of games. You know, he's scoring goals, create assists, but you know, he's just like, this is the same Havertz who scored a winning goal against Manchester City in the Champions League final 3 years ago. And then all of a sudden he's just like not doing anything, you know, but like he's not a striker. I don't know, man. We got nothing in attack. It's like Jesus. I think he's gone. Like, I don't know. You know, he's just never the same after the injury. He's just like, he's a 14 goal striker, man. That's all Jesus is, you know. But but I don't think we're getting Tony. I think that if we got him, that'll be good. But that's my heart saying, but my mind, nah, I don't think we're getting him. We're linked with this Goldcross, whatever that guy from Sporting
Gyökeres.
Lisbon.
Yeah,
Goldcross. Yeah. It's like it's like really we're getting. I don't want to touch another Portuguese player or a player from the Portuguese league with a barge pole. We see that with Nuno Tavares. We see that with Fabio Vieira. It's like like my gut feeling like this. Yeah, we're not winning this league, man. Like it might change in the next 9 games. We've got 9 games left, but we've got Luton next. Then we've got Brighton, and then we've got Bayern Munich in the Champions League. And like, good luck beating Bayern, man. Because this is a big that's Harry Kane's like game. Everyone knows his track record against Arsenal, but I'm not pleased, but not negative. I'm just like a bit tired, man. It's like,
yeah. Okay, I understand. And anyway, Ollie, I want to thank you for being patient before we continue this. Finding the stream. Shout yourself out and briefly tell us where we can find you and briefly what you got coming up.
Yeah, so big up Manny for having me on and big up the other panelists. I don't really know the names of them, some of the new faces to me, but I'll try keep it quite short because I do have to go. You can catch me on a few other channels, West Talks Football, Coach's Corner, you hear on Delbert TV, MK the Don. If you want to catch me on my channel, it's down lower here, DJ Sinclairo. I was quite active in the international break. I did 2 watch-alongs, the Wales watch-along where they unfortunately lost, and the England watch-along where they lost as well. What's coming up is I've got hopefully 8 p.m. Tuesday a preview of Arsenal Luton with Stepsy and any other Luton fan who's welcome to join, or an Arsenal fan. If any of you want to join, please do drop me a message. My Instagram is Ollie.Sinclair556 and my other Instagram account is David Raya Fanpage 1. I'll be doing a post tomorrow for full time, which will be a collab on both my accounts. So I do that with my I post on my David Raya fan page and then I invite my other account. Yeah, big up Manny for having me on. Big up Mr. B, the other Arsenal fan, I forgot his name, Henry earlier, and the person
He's a
who just
Liverpool
joined.
fan,
He's
not Arsenal
Liverpool.
fan.
Yeah.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
No, not Hen. Who's the other person? The other isn't there an Arsenal fan?
Gargo, isn't it?
But yeah. Anyway, big up the comments. Big up Manny for having me on. I do have to shoot now. I'm actually going out. So big up from me on. Yeah, please do subscribe to my channel. And if you want my PlayStation, Snapchat, Xbox, please do personally DM me. And yeah, make sure to check out my stream on Tuesday. There probably won't be a preview. A review of the game week 30 because Arsenal didn't win. So I'd rather do a preview and then do a review next week if we win against Luton or Brighton. But yeah, big up Manny for everyone. Big up the panel. And hopefully I'll be here for the next stream or whenever they do a call-in show again. Let's come back on. And if you want to come on my channel, please do DM me. If you're an Arsenal fan or Luton fan, DM me and I'll get you on my Arsenal Luton preview. Yeah, big up Manny for having me on. I'll see you guys soon.
All right, cheers, Ollie.
Cheers,
Thank you
Ollie.
very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed. And so obviously we're all in 2 minds about it. Several people are thinking, yeah, we've got an interesting debate coming up over here, and we are going to sort of wrap this up very soon, but there are some talking points, obviously, to talk about. There is this point over here. City had their first choice goalkeeper Ederson out, and also Walker was out, Stones was out, and again, once again, Guardiola had to shuffle his defense, pretty much playing Guardiola's more of a left back. He was a centre back, of course, for Croatia in the World Cup. I can never understand why Guardiola wants to have him over there on the left with Aki in the middle. And, this could have been a time when, we had taken, and several people were saying that this was an opportunity to smash City today. So in many ways, this was a bit of a missed opportunity and we could have done a little bit better. But another school of thought says that if you try to go gung ho against City, you will end up getting smashed. But then that's another way to look at it, Pargav. And I want to sort of get you to put your manager's cap on here, because this could have been a game where, you know, if we won, the stakes were that high. If we had beaten City at the Etihad, we would have regained pole position in the league. But now we're once again back to a situation where we are depending on Liverpool to drop points, albeit we're 2 points behind them. And a lot of people were saying that, you know, without Ederson, Walker, and Stones, maybe they'd be weak. But those of us in the know would know that City have a really top quality squad. They can put some replacements in. It doesn't affect their game plan. You take a look at Rico Lewis, who came on for Nathan Ake, and he was having a whale of a time in the midfield, for heaven's sake. So the more I look at it, the more I realize, you know, we showed that we are more or less a top 4 team. We certainly aren't as much of a joke as people would necessarily think, but we just can't fight for the league if we're going to play like this against a supposedly depleted team. And even our win over City at the Emirates without Rodri and De Bruyne was fairly fortuitous. But had you been in Arteta's shoes, we didn't change the team today. But do you think we should have gone out to try and win? And if we should, what changes would you have made? Would you have dropped Havertz for a start? Maybe started Martinelli and Trossard up front instead of Jesus and Havertz? What would you have done? Maybe not started Jorginho because he looked a little bit slow. What would you have done?
Yeah, that's a good question. First, I want to say on the Tony thing, I think people are really happy with the Tony thing now. I mean, I think he's a good player, right? He's a really good player. At least Brentford's not in the Sandro Tonali situation. I don't know what you do in that sense. Like,
it's worse than that. Worse than Tony. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but like, imagine having a contract like Tonali is, and then it's like, what do you do about it? Like, if he just wants to keep gambling, like. Like, what do you keep doing? I mean, you just hold your hands up on that one. Like, even though I think, like, I mean, I guess if you bet on your own sport, I do realize why that's a crime. If you bet on other sports, that's a different story. But when you have insider information, you can't do that. But on the so as far as like the Arteta thing, yeah. So no, listen, like, you got to go for it. I mean, Liverpool always went after City. Like, they pushed them to the edge. Like, I mean, I remember one year, like, they went up 1-0. If it wasn't for Leroy Sané and like who's Vincent Kompany, like scoring massive goals, they would have won that game. But they still took it to them. Like, for us, what you'd ask, like, what I would change today? It's like, all right, our defense is solid, right? Defensively, we're pretty solid. Jorginho, I do think Jorginho in the midfield in big games is actually the answer. But I wish he does in the past he used to have like longer range passing. He used to have some great passes that he used to spray. He still has it in his locker. I wonder why like Arteta doesn't encourage it. Yeah, Rice. All right, so Odegaard for me is I think he needs to grab a hold. He needs to grab like, we pretty much put the system, like, everything goes to his feet, like he plays the strings, right? But then these are the games he goes absolutely missing. It's like, what do you do about that? Like, that's always been a big problem. He doesn't shift to the right places. He doesn't shift out wide when necessary. Like, I mean, there's a lot of things I could say about that one. Saka needs to do more. Obviously, I think he would have stayed. But what to the point Ollie said, Jesus, I think Havertz should have been up top, and then like Trossard should have been on the left. Like, why change that one? That was a working formula for so long. Why do we change it all of a sudden? With Jesus, he still hasn't come back yet. I think we rushed him back, actually. I think that's what happened with Jesus. We rushed him back from his injuries, and he never gained his explosiveness after the World Cup. He was so desperate to come back. We should have just been like, we should have took it easy, but.
Agreed.
And then Martinelli for 20. If Martinelli and Jesus had 20 minutes, 20 big minutes at the very end, even 20, 30 minutes at the very end, explosive minutes, I would have taken that. I would have left them both on the bench and been like, you both have good chemistry. You both go on together and change the game. That's what they would have been on the bench.
Yeah, exactly. And
yeah, go ahead. And then Partey,
yeah.
Partey will come in, I think, at some point. I think Partey's still getting back there. I heard he had a big injury, so. But I think at our very best, Thomas Partey will be in like Champions League big games if we ever get there.
Yeah, and Trossard obviously, of course, started the game on the bench, but Darren's saying that he should have started, in fact. And I certainly would have considered starting Trossard instead of Jesus and then bring on Jesus and Martinelli. But the big problem with Havertz is that, and I think I really want to hear Darren's thoughts on Havertz, because the problem with him is that he can be sublime one time and subpar the next. And there were moments in this game where he was completely, shut off by the Manchester City defense. You got to give them props to Diaz, Ake, Akanji, and Guardiola for really cutting off supply. City never really threatened. Arsenal never really threatened City's goal until later on when Trossard had that chance, and he should definitely have passed it to Martinelli instead. Although to be fair, Martinelli was probably being covered, but Havertz doesn't really have that ability to burst through defenses and really make things happen on his own. Well, while Tony does, and yet, because Havertz wants to save money, he still insists on Havertz being this sort of target man. And it doesn't really make any real sense. And back to Darren, very ruthless, saying Odegaard needs to be sold, useless in the big games, and runs like he has 2 broken legs. I mean, the boy is so left-footed, he can't use his right foot for Tuffy. And that's what really irritates me with him at times. And Jesus probably would have been better up front, and Havertz left on the bench with Trossard out wide. This is fairly interesting. You're saying, obviously, that Jesus wasn't quite, still isn't really quite fit, but if you start him all the way up front and have Trossard on the left, maybe it would have been a bit more effective. Pushing him out onto the left just to accommodate Havertz, again, it's really, it really made no sense. And Warren coming and saying any defense will look solid if you play 10 men behind the ball and don't try and attack. And there is some truth to that, because at times both Jesus and Havertz were back defending. Rice definitely should be made captain, because I don't know anyone else can have the job and do it well. Rosie, good to see you in. Havertz needs to hit the gym, and like Fabio Vieira, teabag, of course. Maybe he needs to be fed some steak and milk, and then made to be a little bit stronger. And Havertz can keep the ball and play balls to feet, but the chance he had one-on-one with keeper, if that's a striker with speed, that's 1-0, and he would let us down indeed. And so, Central, let's come to you. I'd like to sort of get your thoughts, putting your manager's cap on. What would you have done today to try and ensure that we got the win that would have taken us top of the league?
Think that's a good question. Like, maybe I don't know, play Trossard in the beginning. Trossard, Martinelli. Maybe turn Jesus into play Jesus more like a false 9. Midfield, I think you could say.
You mean Trossard? You mean Trossard as a false 9, don't you?
Yeah. Oh, so you can put Trossard as a false 9, like vice versa. Midfield, I think. I don't mind the midfield today with Rice and Jorginho. Is Zinchenko injured? Is he injured, Zinchenko?
No, he's come back, but he obviously didn't come off the bench today.
Yeah, I put Zinchenko on in this game against his old club. Zinchenko, Rice, Partey, and the back four still the same. And yeah, I can't, just get like a goal, let's scrap a 1-0 lead, a 1-0 win. That's it, just a 1-0 win to the Arsenal.
Yeah. But again, the biggest disappointment was that even with the injury-related absences and the injury to Nathan Ake, we still couldn't sufficiently break them down. And Del Boy downing a pint, obviously. I'd love to see that. And Rosie coming and saying, for 2 teams vying for the title, today's game was dead. I wouldn't necessarily say it was dead. It was a game where obviously both teams, Arsenal set out to try to nullify City, but they nullified City so well, they didn't really have much thought of trying to take the game to City, basically trying to depend on some City mistakes. And whenever City did make a mistake, they would pretty much recover from that. And to those who are asking where Del Boy is, he was unavailable today, so he has kindly asked me to take up responsibility for him. So, we can all agree on one thing now. And it's taken Arteta 2 seasons to work out that his old mate Zinchenko is a bit of a liability. Yeah, it has taken him a bit too long, just like it's taken Gareth Southgate too long to realise that Calvin Phillips is no longer really useful for for England. And so, Central, I've just got your message. I will sort of let you leave in a minute, but you know the drill. We allow you to shout yourself out, tell us where we can find you, and what you got coming up.
You can follow me on Central Man Network on YouTube, and I've got nothing left to. I haven't got like upcoming videos, not yet.
Yeah, well, when you do, obviously, do let us know, and we'll try and come and see you there. But as always, thanks a lot for coming on. And that haircut, I mean, I'm not too sure you were going for a prison warden look over there, but it does look good on you, son.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll see you soon, all right? Take care of yourself. And thanks a lot for coming on. Cheers. And Calvin Phillips having eaten too many Easter eggs. And, of course, I don't see anyone being able to come on the chat right now. And as for this question, what do we do with Kieran Tierney? I think we are going to have to let him leave because there is no way that he fits into the plans of Arteta either this season or in the coming seasons. Arteta has now realized, at least belatedly, that the inverted thing doesn't really work. He's now given Tierney the ultimate, humiliation of having even someone like Kiwior starting ahead of him. And Timber will obviously come back and play. And Tomiyasu, of course, is another option. But when Tomiyasu came on, you could start to see Doku having a little bit more influence at first, and then Tomiyasu did end up recovering a little bit later on. But as far as Tierney is concerned, I think his Arsenal career is over. He should go to a team which will really value him, and he should be in the first 11, but it will not happen under Arteta. Absolute mug. And I thought of that. And so Tierney's Arsenal career is pretty much over. And so we will start to wrap it up in a few minutes, but Pargav, I'd like you to sort of stick with me for a little bit, unless you have to go somewhere. Hopefully you don't, because we will end this with some player ratings, and you can talk about whether you agree with them. We'll start with the goalkeeper, David Raya. What did you think of his performance today? For me, obviously, Raya was Raya, but there were some moments where he looked a little bit iffy. Some of his clearances went to a City player instead of an Arsenal player. He wasn't able to find his range. There was even a moment where, in the second half, where he held a corner ball, but then dropped it. But because there were no City players there, he was able to eventually gather it. So a somewhat weak game from him in comparison to his earlier games, and yet he got another clean sheet and should be in the running for the Golden Glove Award. But what did you think of him today? You're mute. Still can't hear you.
Sorry.
Good.
So yeah, I don't think it was the best of games, but I don't think it was the worst of games. So I mean, it's somewhere average. I think he kept the ball out, so I guess he did his job. I mean,
would you give him a 6?
Yeah, probably 6. I think 7 is like he made some saves, but I don't think that he had the chance today too. So
no. I don't think he had a real a really big save to make as such, and I'd really stick with the 6.
Yeah.
Now Ben. 6. Yeah, so Ben White, there were some points where times in the game where he was linking up well with Saka and Odegaard, and really, he was at the fulcrum of the attacks down the right, and defensively he looked a little bit solid, and I know that you want Del Boy to give you a lively 2 minutes. I'm not sure he'll be able to join you, I'm afraid. He never mixes business with pleasure, I'm afraid. You know that as well. But as far as Ben White is concerned, he has been the subject of controversy given his refusal to play for England now and in the near future. But today, obviously, he had some good moments, but it was a bit quiet for him. I would be tempted to give him a 7. What say you?
Yeah, it's somewhere between 6 and 7. So remember that first, I think it's like the beginning of the game, right? He takes out Haaland, right? But there was an offside. So the offside.
That was Saliba. That was Saliba who took him out, I think.
Oh, was it Saliba who took him? I thought it was Ben White. But all right, so that was an interesting play. But for me, yeah, somewhere between 6 and 7. Sounds about right. Probably I'll lean towards the 6 though. I'll probably lean towards the 6.
Yeah, I suppose I'll give him a 6. And Darren Sullivan has a nickname for him, Tenerife Ben, getting 6. Luke James giving him a 7. Saliba, obviously man of the match, didn't put a single foot wrong. Easily gets a 9 for me. What say you?
Yeah, definitely. Maybe 8. I think 9 is like a. I think I think 9 is a bit more. I think you need a bit more of a world class performance for a 9, but I'd probably go with 8. I guess he's gotten the better of like Haaland again, so take that.
Yep.
Take that, Deschamps.
Yep, and yeah, but I mean, obviously Deschamps has his reasons, and now, as I said earlier, Arteta also throws Saliba out. So Deschamps, of course, has had a much more illustrious playing and coaching career than Arteta. So maybe there is some wisdom into what Deschamps will be thinking. But look, Saliba played against Chile, did quite well. He'll get his chances. Deschamps is nothing if not fair-minded, and Saliba obviously a 9. So a 9 says Unique. Darren agreeing with you, saying Saliba gets an 8. Mr. Magalhaes, who also was Saliba's partner and who also got into a bit of a tiff with Haaland near the end, pretty much getting all up in his face. Not necessarily a perfect game from him, but he certainly played more than his part and did it well. I'd be tempted to give him a 7, really. What say you?
I give him a 5. He should have been booked. He should have been booked very early, like the amount of fouls that he did. Got away with them. I don't know. He was kind of inconsistent, actually. It's between 5 and a 6, but I'll lean towards a 5. I think he did his job, so. 5.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing about Anthony Taylor was that he didn't want to dish out too many cards in the game. He wanted to let the game flow. I personally felt his performance was a little bit weak, really, because you could see tempers almost starting to boil over. He wanted to let it flow, obviously. And, the game actually flowed in spite of Taylor, not because of him. So, yeah, I'd probably end up giving Gabriel a 6 for the reasons that you mentioned. But the chat disagrees with you. Luke James gives him an 8. Unique agrees with you on a 6. And, the fact that Gabriel pretty much made a mess of Haaland's head, he should get an extra point for that, says Darren. So, maybe we could agree to disagree. I think a compromise would be maybe a 7. Certainly not a bozo game from him, but he did his job and did it well. Now, Jakub Kiwior, he's a centre half, a left-footed centre half, but once again playing at left back. Didn't have any big dominating moments, but also definitely did his job. And it's wonderful to see him become a little bit more assured. He certainly didn't invert, which would have really irritated Mr. Sullivan to no end and a few others. And he was one person who was able to help nullify the threat of Bernardo Silva and Kevin De Bruyne in many ways. They had to work exceptionally hard. I'm tempted to give Kiwior a 7 for another composed display. What say you?
I think it was 6 actually, because I thought Bernardo Silva, at least in the first half, like he definitely got dribble past at least 3 times, Kiwior. But he also had his moments. You're right, but
you could say he grew into the game as he got on, and of course he was hooked up for Tomiyasu later on, who also ended up getting skinned by Doku on many occasions.
I mean, his passing was his passing that good today too? Like, probably give him a 6, honestly. But then again, it's not. Is it really his like natural position, or he's just there because Zinchenko's been effective? So
it's ineffective, and obviously the chat agrees with me giving him a 7. So the problem is, of course, it's another Mickey take of Kieran Tierney, because look, Tierney's skills are clearly not appreciated by this absolute mug of a manager, and he has no future at the club. But it is what it is. Now, obviously, we're going to come to the midfield. We had Odegaard playing on the right. Many people said that he went missing and he should have tried to stamp his mark on the game a bit more. I think he was trying, but the problem is he ended up being out-muscled by the likes of Rodri and others. There were some sequences in the game where he was, breaking up a lot of City passing and trying to nullify that threat. But he wasn't really able to try to be that driving force that Arsenal needed today. So I'd be tempted to give Odegaard somewhere between. I think I might give him a 6 if that might be a bit generous. I know a lot of people might say no, he deserves a 5. Maybe a 6 would be his rating. I'd be or maybe a 5.5. What say you on our captain?
I'm going with the 4. I mean,
Oh boy.
all right. Well, okay. So I think I read a stat on Twitter. He got dribble passed 6 times today, right? He got which is not even the biggest thing. Like duels he didn't win today. Which it's weird because with Odegaard, it's like, all right, chances created should be the thing, right? But then it's like, does he ever take any risks? Like, I mean, I mean that's why he's in the team, to create big chances, but he doesn't really do any of that. I mean, all right, fine, he presses, he runs after people. That's easy to do that in the simple games. It's always going to show. Like, do it when a game like this happens. Like, what do you do? His work rate is running around. Like, do you get reward for that? It's funny, like Mesut Ozil used to get killed for this, but like at least he did like moments of quality. He had moments of quality.
Yep, and people often take a look at him and say that his attitude wasn't the best, while Odegaard's attitude is spot on. But I think this rating sums it up.
The PR.
He gets a 2. He puts his shirt on and has one good ball. Other than that, you got to sell him in the summer. And I certainly wouldn't go that far, but I certainly wouldn't give him a high rating. Maybe I'd give him a 5 based on today's performance. But Luke giving Odegaard a 7. And work rate, of course, his passing was off today, and he's also changing it to a 5. So I think we can all agree that today wasn't one of his better games when we needed it to be. Declan Rice, the man who people think should be captain, had his moments as well, but also ended up being, outmuscled by Rodri on many occasions. Never really got into the game. I'd be tempted to give him maybe no more than a 6. What say you? Was Rice undercooked?
Yeah, I think it's like I feel like it was like the West Ham Rice today. He was always breaking up play. He was in the right spots though. He was in the right spots and doing his thing. So I'd give him a 6.
Okay, so Luke says that Rice gets a 7, and we will obviously wait for the others to give their ratings. Darren saying that Rice gets a 7 as well, and I think these are probably the only people in the chat right now. Unique seems to have gone somewhere, but hopefully he will come back and give a few more ratings. And now Georgie Porgy, pudding and pie. There's a part of me that thinks that maybe this game was not the game for him because, look, there is no doubt that he has the ability to find a killer pass that unlocks defenses. But for the most part, he just doesn't have the legs to really play against, top teams anymore. In an ideal world, it would be Partey who'd be starting and Georgie coming on and replacing him, and not the other way around like it was today, because I just don't see Jorginho having that muscle to really cope with things. And this is where another example of where Arteta should perhaps have been brave and maybe considered changing a little bit, having a more horses for courses sort of thing. I'd be tempted to do what Luke James has done and give Georgie a 5. Do you think he deserves that rating, or maybe am I being a bit harsh?
Well, I mean, what are we judging him for? Like, what's he in the team for? To play long passes, and it's like, did he actually do it? Did he like play like killer passes into the final box, like deep lying midfield?
He doesn't have the legs anymore. A bit like Christian Eriksen to me.
So then, what? Okay, so who's the? So is he an 8 or is he playing like an 8 or a 6 or a 7, somewhere in between, right? I feel like him and Rice alternate those two, but.
Maybe in a way, but Darren saying that Georgie gets a 4, and Delboy in the chat saying City were there for the taking, and maybe we should have been a bit braver. But maybe there's a safety first approach which dictates that if we had taken the game to them and they had thrashed us, it would have been psychologically horrible. But we should have had the bravery. They had some players out, and yep, we got Delboy back in the chat, of course.
Yeah,
and so we've got
5.
A 5 for Georgie, huh? Okay, cool. So we can agree on that. Darren goes for a 4. Now, of course, we come to the front line. Bukayo Saka, very, very listless again. He didn't play for England, but he's been overplayed for Arsenal. Today as well, he's had lumps kicked out of him. Normally, whenever he'd have a game mostly ineffective, he'd have one moment of quality which could prove to be decisive. He didn't even have that today. I'd give him a 4.
Yeah, he has to get the same. I think him and Odegaard get the same rating, but yeah, 4 for me. It was 4 because it's not just that. It's just like, what was he in the game for today? I mean, every time, obviously, no moments of magic, but then it's like, the only thing people ever say is like he came back and defended, which is kind of lazy in my opinion, because you're supposed to be doing that at Arsenal in a big game.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I'd probably say 4 because he didn't really, he didn't show any bravery, and he's got to be doing that too. So
Yeah, well, Darren's a bit more generous, saying that he actually deserves a 6. He put some good tackles in, but wasn't able to deliver going forward. Looks as though he had a handbrake on, and certainly Luke James saying not great passing. Maybe
and
I
it's also
could be a bit...
Guardiola, by the way. It's also Guardiola, by the way. Like, I mean, which all right, this trend of like playing center backs in like full back positions, I get it. I mean, that was started by I feel like Barcelona started that with who's the right back? Who's the right back at Barcelona that did the plays for
Koundé.
France? Yeah, Koundé. So I feel like that started that whole trend of like playing like center backs out wide. It's happened before, but I'm like, for a whole year it doesn't happen. We don't have like it used to be
Yeah,
like just attacking full.
Yeah,
full
but
backs,
now the thing is, of course, I mean, the prospect of Saka coming up against Alphonso Davies in the Champions League does not fill me with any confidence whatsoever. And you know, I really worry for the poor boy. I suppose I can be more generous and maybe give him a 5, but that's pretty much as far as I can go. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, did he put any good crosses? Like, he has to do something. Like, he has to do something in these games. Like, if he's not,
Absolutely.
like, he can't just be completely shut out, and then and if they do that, then it falls on the other player. It's vice versa, and if both are being terrible, then the formula to beat us has been like solved.
Absolutely, absolutely. And obviously, Darren and Luke being a bit more generous with their rating.
Yeah.
Kai Havertz, 70 million down the drain, and our German donkey failed again. Never was in the game at all.
No.
He deserves a 4.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. I think he lost. I think there was something also where it said he lost the most duels in the game today. So it's a very bad game for Havertz. So it's a very bad game for Havertz.
And this is one game where we never should have started with him, in fact, because had we, you know, kept him on the bench and maybe started with someone else up front or on the left, maybe that would have been a sign of intent. We never should have started Jorginho. Havertz today went from sublime to subpar. And there are moments when, you know, he just can't hit a horse's backside with the banjo, which is why we need a new striker. But stubborn mule, as Arteta is, he won't listen. At least Luke and Darren agree, are a bit more generous, but Darren saying use this going forward, a concrete fence post. 5 might be a bit too generous from you, but it is what it is. And finally, of course, we got Gabriel Jesus. Another poor game from him. He had some gilt-edged opportunities, but just wasn't able to get a hold of them. I think being forced to play on the left to accommodate Havertz has not helped him. He is at his best when he is alone centre forward and can play in that 4-2-3-1 formation. But once again, you know, we're shoehorning players in and, you know, just pushing him out. But aside from being so supposedly fair to him, he didn't have a good game either, I'm afraid. It has to be said. And I'm tempted to give him something like a 4 as well. Getting booked didn't help, and he was yanked off as well for Trossard, who at least proved to be a little bit more effective. So 5 for Jesus. He was not the saviour today. What say you?
Oh yeah, I don't think he should have started. I mean, also it doesn't help. Like, I think he's better on the right than the left, and now that's taken by Bukayo Saka, and the center was taken by Havertz today. So if you're gonna do that, like, yeah, definitely Trossard should have started. But for what, I guess when you look at his chances that he missed, when you think about it, like, did you think that they were gonna be? Do you think like there were actual clear chances, or like, because from the angle it didn't look like it felt like an automatic save in my opinion, but at least in the first half, like some of his shots. People are saying that he should have had 2 goals. I don't know if those would have been 2 goals.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there was one shot which went wide, which was probably the better one. But what really angered me was when, you know, he had everything set up beautifully by White, Odegaard, and Saka, and just wasn't able to get into the box on time. He gets into the box, it's 1-0
Yeah.
Arsenal, and that could potentially have been it. So it is effectively what it is. We made 4 substitutions. Tomiyasu and Partey came on in the 66th minute. Partey looked okay. I can't give him any more than the standard 5. Tomiyasu, I thought, looked a little bit weak at first, especially against Doku. But he got better as the match went on. I think both of them would probably get a 5 from me. And Darren saying Jesus gets a 4. 5 for Jesus. The Kroenkes have put Arteta in post to stop us winning a trophy. Yeah, but so Tomiyasu and Partey, I'd say a standard. You know what? I'll be generous and give them a 6. What say you?
So I think Partey definitely played his passes, so I'll give him a little bit higher. But I think like obviously he's there for defensive reasons and getting the ball out quickly. So I guess it's a good sign, I guess, going forward. I think it's pretty much his like last chance at Arsenal, basically. He's definitely on like a thin leash right now. So just based on the fans and everything. So hope he does well for the rest of the season.
Well, Luke being a bit more generous, saying that chance when it was crossed in was just a half chance. But what was your rating for Tommy and Partey?
I think I'd give Partey a 6, and 6, and then Tommy's probably about a 5. Sounds about right.
Okay. So 6 for Partey, 5 for Tomiyasu. Darren saying Partey gets a 5 and Tommy gets a 4. Partey being a steady 5. I suppose I'd have to agree with a 5 then for Partey, and Tommy might get either that or slightly a little bit lower. And Partey had 1 pass that took 2 City players out the game. And yes, we could have done with you. Maybe we should have started him instead of Georgie in the center of that midfield. So a lot of ifs and buts and maybes. What ifs? What can we do? This is probably a game which called for us to be brave, and Arteta took the coward's way out, as you and Warren would say. And we had 2 more substitutions. Trossard came on for Jesus, and obviously lent a great deal of quality. Darren would certainly give him a high rating, unlocked the defense at times, and should have passed it to Martinelli in the penalty area, but ended up shooting instead, drawing a save from Ortega. I'd be tempted to give him a 7 for his work. What say you?
Wait, for Trossard? I'd probably give him a 5 too, actually. I thought it was just kind of average, but I mean, so you're talking about that one chance that he had, basically?
Now he does, offer does really do well and offer a great deal of quality, and he was trying to get in behind the defense a great deal, and that chance, of course, was a chance which maybe he should have shot it better, or maybe he should have passed it to Martinelli, who was waiting in the penalty area, and if not a 7, I would be willing to give him a 6, as both Darren and Luke have done. And Darren saying immediately Trossard came on and was able to beat 2 players. That's sort of the quality that he possesses. So what say you on Trossard?
I'll go with 6.
Okay. And finally, Gabriel Martinelli came on for Bukayo Saka. I wouldn't necessarily say that he was ineffective. Maybe he'd get a standard 5 or a 4 from me. I'd lean towards maybe a 4.5-ish. What say you?
Yep, probably about probably 5. I mean, it's his first game back too, so I mean, give him time, I guess. It's gonna be interesting when he gets to start again on the left. If he gets to start again on the left, definitely got to earn it in training. He got to earn it in training, obviously, but
and Trossard might have scored, but he had 20 minutes again. Not easy. He took the right decision to shoot. Saw Arteta moaning. And what can you do? And Darren giving Martinelli a 5, so I feel comfortable giving Martinelli a 5. We'll wait for Luke's rating, but now Mikel Arteta to round things off. Obviously got the team defensively organized quite brilliantly, but his team selections really betrayed a level of cowardice, in my opinion. His misplaced faith in several players has cost us a chance to win. And now we literally have to play our socks off every single game that we can get. And, if history is anything to go by, that's something that we almost never do. in 2002 when we played magnificently to win the league that season. We had the team, we had the manager. This time we don't. I'm tempted to give him no more than a 5, perhaps. What say you?
Yeah, probably a 5. Like, it's either 4 or a 5. I think the 4 is because you gotta go for this game. You had 2 weeks to prep. And in a way, like, you just came in and just put the pressure on them, like what 1-0 up or anything. Like that would have put fear in their eyes. Would have absolutely put fear in like Liverpool that we're coming. So it's a statement missed. It's a statement missed, in my opinion. Especially when momentum is key.
Yeah, well, Luke's a bit generous, saying that Arteta gets a 6, but Darren is roasting. Sacked in the morning, he says. He gets a 4, and he's pretty much nailed it when he says that now we're hoping for others' mistakes to try to get a trophy rather than winning it on merit. And that is the situation where we were in. When we were ahead last season, it was all in our hands, and we mucked it up. Now, of course, we'll be known as the team that effectively had our chance, and we just weren't able to effectively take it. But I think that's pretty much it. We're not going to get anyone coming into the studio, so we will start wrapping it up. I would like to thank everyone who came in the chat, of course, and had their say. Everyone from Darren to Warren, Luke, James, Unique79. We also had several others, Rosie as well, coming in. And thanks a lot to the panel as well. Aces, can't forget him. And Mukhtar Juma and 1 or 2 others. Aguna Matata. Also Niall from the upper tier. Very happy, I'm sure, as a Liverpool fan, that his team have ended the week up top. And also Gavin O'Flaherty and several others who came in earlier. And we had a huge Barney, of course, at the beginning of the chat before we eventually started. I would like, of course, to apologize once again for starting late. We had some issues, of course. Dell wasn't able to start on time, so he had to rope me in. I do hope everyone had a wonderful Easter day. I'm sorry that the results sort of spoilt the party a little bit, but if we know anything, never ever let Arsenal affect you having a good time. And Pargav, thank you very much for joining in the beginning and staying to the end. I am quite fortunate to consider you a friend. It's that time of the show, brother. Shout yourself out. Where can we find you? What do you got coming up?
I don't got much coming up, actually. I'm just enjoying the end of the season. The NBA playoffs are going to start soon. Happy Easter to everybody. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. It should be a good summer, so I mean, I'm really looking forward to this summer. Again, this is probably the best place for like post-game chat, as always. Big up to Del Boy. Hope he's well. I mean, I know he's not here today, but I'm sure like we're gonna hear his thoughts really soon. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, well, briefly though, are you excited for the upcoming Copa America?
Oh yeah, Copa America. I mean, last week's U.S. game was brilliant. We have there's a lot of good matchups with that. The Euros are. I mean, this summer is great for a lot of things. There's NBA, the NBA's basketball has been like the best it's ever been, in a while. There's gonna be the Copa Americas. There's gonna be the Euros. There's gonna be the Champions League final that we can look forward to. That as sports fans, I'm not sure about Arsenal making it there. Hopefully, it's in London, so it's the best time to make a run, Arsenal. So get your act together.
You bet.
But I know
again,
the IPL's going. I know the what is it? The IPL's going.
IPL,
yeah, that's another one.
Can't be bothered with that rubbish, to be honest.
Neither can I.
Absolute waste of time.
Neither can I. But I hear like some of the games have been high scoring though. They broke records, so.
That's the thing. I mean, it's basically really good batting and some shoddy bowling. If you're a genuine cricket fan, avoid that like the plague.
Yeah,
but it is what it is. And so thanks once again, brother, and thanks a lot to everyone once again. It was a sort of a rushed stream, as it were, and I'm sorry we couldn't have more people joining in. I know you're all hoping for Del Boy to come and host everything, but sadly he couldn't make it. It's always Del Boy Gunner TV and not Manny Gunner TV. I tried my best. I tried so hard. We came so far. And in the end, hopefully it matters. Rest in peace, Chester Bennington. So until we see you next time, all we can do is just keep fighting in our remaining games and trying to make sure that we do as well as we can. Every game now is a cup final, and there are no excuses, and we do have some tough games. So all we can do once again is hope for the best. Take care, everyone. Thank you all for watching. God bless each and every one of you. And from Mr. Condetti and me, we are out.
See you later.
Henry, what a goal!